Okay, so in this page below, you're going to see information about what this class is about, the calendar, the information, what each module each week is going to look like. But I'm going to explain it to you in a very few minutes of sort of the picture of the whole class. And if this was a movie, this is the lens going out, looking at the whole class so you can see from start to finish what you're going to be doing and what kind of stuff you're going to look at. Okay? So to begin, the whole first week is settling in. It's you settling in as a student, understanding the Canvas class, understanding how to rock the online class, what's expected of me, what's expected of you, the assignments, that sort of stuff. It's you settling in. But on the other side of it, it's settling in to history as well. What is history? What are some important parts of history that you're going to be able to use in this class? Namely, narratives. History is stories. And how to understand and use stories and narratives to understand and really challenge the historical narratives. That's a big thing. Also understand how history is made. I'm going to explain that. Then we're going to apply those two things to looking at world history in general. Remember, it's the globe. It's all of history. But how can we do that in 8 weeks? There's going to be very important themes week after week that we're going to build off of. The first week is settling down. So it's how people settle down as well. So how people who were roaming the world, chasing their fast food, I like to say, the gatherers and hunters, chasing migration patterns of animals, chasing, gathering different vegetables and nuts and different things that are sprouting off the earth, or fish, patterns, whatever they're chasing, that's a big part of, that's the majority of world history, of human history. But at a certain point, they start settling down. And interestingly, they start settling down in river valleys around the same time all over the world. And as people settle down, they don't have to chase their food. They have time to do other things, and they be able to grow more population. They're able to sustain a higher population. And that develops civilizations, complex societies that grow. So the first week and two, we're going to look at that. People roaming the world, settling down, and developing complex societies. And that's called the Old Stone Age. I want you to have in your mind those weeks the idea of a caveman. And we're going to break that stereotype down when we look at people from what's called the Old Stone Age, the Paleolithic Society, and the New Stone Age, Neolithic Society. And we're going to use those two massive cultures that were part of human history for most of our story to break down the stereotype of a caveman. And then from there, we're going to look at specific areas around the world that develop these complex societies that we call civilizations. So we're going to look at a civilization that developed around the Nile River, and which we look at ancient Egyptians, right? We're going to look around this place around the Euphrates and Tigris River that we call Mesopotamia, where you get amazing stories that survive from the Epic of Gilgamesh. We're going to look at societies in China, ancient China, and Indus River in India, and in Americas, in the Mississippi River Valley, in South America, the Incas and the Aztecs. We're going to look at how these start to emerge slowly throughout the history story. So each week we're going to look at one of those river valleys, those areas, and look at them in context of certain themes. One thing we're going to look at is how people interact with each other, networks of exchange. That's not just goods. That's not just trading some spices for money or something. That's an important part, but that's not the only thing. It's also ideas, the interchange of ideas. This is how religions change and grow. Belief systems migrate to different parts of the world. And also disease. Disease is a big part of human history. It has been in recent decades, and it is throughout history. So as people interact, that spreads disease. It spreads ideas, it spreads goods, and it spreads all kinds of interaction that changes the world. So if you think of it that way, that's what we're going to look at each week. So we're going to look at the beginning, people settling down. We're going to look at Mesopotamia compared to Egypt. Very different civilizations nearby at around the same time. We're going to look at India and China. We're going to look at the Americas. And then we're going to look at the development of Mediterranean cultures. And we're going to look at ancient Greeks. We're going to look at how that interacts with the ancient Persians. and how that clash then also develops a whole new empire of the Greeks that then leads to the Romans, the ancient Romans. But then, with the fall of the Romans, if you look at the whole Mediterranean Sea, that develops three new civilizations, three new massive cultures. One becomes Western Europe, if you think of the Middle Ages in Europe, that's one, with Christendom. The other one is Greek Orthodox, that also is Russian Orthodox, so it's this Eastern European religion and society. That's going to be coming out as well. And then also the Islamic world. And we're going to see how that springs up and takes over the Middle East and North Africa and into Spain for centuries, and creating a whole new culture as well. And we're going to break down stereotypes that we might see in news and see what culture was like in the ancient Islamic world as well. So we're going to be able to be all over the world. We're going to look at different things, bite-sized pieces, and be able to really think about it. Think about identities in these cultures. Think about how their interactions really did interact and change things. And you're going to see things differently. You're not going to memorize anything with any of this stuff, but you're going to be able to understand the narrative and develop your own narrative based on what you're learning of how these societies came to be, how they interacted, and what identities were like in those cultures, and how that really affects us and our understanding of who we are in the world around us today. So that's going to be the journey. You'll see this in a little more detail below, but enjoy that. If you have questions about this, if you have questions of what you see below, please email me, and happy to help you along the way.